Thank you, Nigel Farage, for entertaining me tonight. Because what we had tonight was Nigel Farage trying to defend the absolutely unhinged rant by the Manchester United co-owner. And it almost seems like when one pathological liar defends another pathological liar, the pathology intensifies.
So what did he say? He said 12 million people have come to the country in the last few years. Fact.
Well, he got his facts wrong, actually. He got the dates wrong, didn't he?
He meant 2000, he said 2020.
What? I'm sorry. Even if we're going to take the idea that it's okay to make mistakes that huge on national TV, you just said that it was 12 million people in the last few years. So you just repeated his lie that it was 12 million people since 2020. So you were happy to tell the exact same lie about immigration and only changed your tune when you were called out for it.
There are 9 million people living in Britain of working age on benefits of some kind, albeit some of them in work benefits, I will grant you.
Most of them are in work benefits, actually.
Many of them are. No, as I said, I grant you.
Yeah, but when Jim Ratcliffe says
you can't have an economy with 9 million people on benefits,
he's trying to imply that those 9 million people aren't working, whereas the reality is they're working, but their wages aren't covering their basic needs, hence the need to rely on benefits. Now, for starters, Jim Ratcliffe supported Brexit, a policy that has cost the average household £1,000 a year. So it is because of him that there are so many people who are working, yet their wages aren't enough.
And I would argue access to the NHS.
Ah yes, his old argument that immigration clogs at the NHS, but I beat that argument to his face in 10 seconds in 2018.
Would you accept that a population that has risen beyond anything we've ever seen in this country before has put massive pressure on the National Health Service?
I'd say that EU migrants make up 5% of the UK's population, and yet they make up 10% of our doctors. So rather than EU immigration being something that threatens the country, it is literally keeping it alive. But then we get to the key bit where Jim Ratcliffe says that we're being colonised by immigrants.
Now, the use of the word colonisation, that's what he's withdrawn.
Do you think that's offensive?
I think it's probably, in the dictionary definition, correct, but perhaps people aren't quite ready for it.
The dictionary defines colonising as moving to a country and taking control of that country. Please name one group of immigrants that has control at a governmental level. I'll wait. So Nigel Farage is truly just doubling down on the lie here, and it goes further than that because that lie is utterly pathetic, trying to imply that people from the countries that we actually did colonize are the ones colonizing us. It's a kid at school complaining that the kid 5 years junior than him is bullying him. And this is coming from the alpha male, dude bro, strong man side of politics, but this is utterly cuck behavior.
There are 1 million people living in Britain who speak no English.
They say in the census they don't speak good English.
No, that's
doesn't mean there's a million aren't speaking any English at all.
5 million don't speak good English. 1 million speak no English at all.
Wrong again. In the census it says that only 161,000 people in the UK can't speak English at all. But you can hear how confidently he just bullshits to us.
Just a few miles east of here. We would see road signs, we would see London Underground signs, we would see bus stops with parallel foreign languages. Now that actually, to most people, is not acceptable.
Sorry, you're saying that London, one of the most international cities on the planet, has signage that accommodates people from different countries? Dear God, this country is truly broken. And I'm also hearing just now, like I live in Birmingham, so down the road from me in Wales, they also have signage in different languages. Oh, and I'm also hearing in Dover, where people are traveling between France and the UK, they also have signs in French. I don't know, it just makes me feel so scared and confused. Help me, Nigel. But I do like that when the interviewer brings up that economically we do actually need immigration, this is Nigel Farage's response.
Immigration, generally.
Do you know what? When I was first elected to the European Parliament in 1999, the word immigration didn't appear once on my literature. It wasn't an issue.
You skin-headed demon. You were a vocal supporter of Enoch Powell back in the day.
I thought Enoch Powell was right about the common market, and I thought he was right to talk about, not having vast community change.
You used to chase black people around your school telling them to go back to Africa. And you're going to sit there with a straight face and try and say that you never really thought about immigration until the 2000s? Rafa!
So Jim Ratcliffe himself is an economic migrant, isn't he? He lives in Monaco. Should he speak French or Monegasque living there?
He would probably argue that he's a refugee from the British tax system, but that's a separate debate.
He's an economic migrant, isn't he?
Monaco is a...
Is he an economic migrant, yes or no?
He's a tax migrant.
He's an economic migrant then, isn't he?
Yes, he is, but you know what? He's not claiming Social Security.
But he's
not claiming Social Security.
He's not paying taxes that could go on people's benefit.
Again, Nigel Farage is saying with his whole chest that he's happy for the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer. Because Jim Ratcliffe is worth £17.4 billion, and he's happy for him to avoid paying millions in tax. But what he really sees as the problem is people who claim social security, so benefits. So he'd much rather a multi-billionaire gets to keep an extra few million than let the poorest people in the country get an extra couple of thousand in welfare support so they can feed their kids. At this point, it's not a stretch to say he hates poor people.
Nice.
Well, he's actually Nigel Farage. He's cut hundreds of jobs here in the UK, in Grangemouth. He wanted to build...
Do you know why?
Hang on a second. He wanted to build his Ineos Grenadier car in Wales. You know where it's built now? It's built in France.
Yeah. Which is funny because I actually looked up the reason that Ineos gave for why they moved their factory to France rather than in Wales. And the reason they gave in 2020, you know, the year that Brexit happened, was because the place that they moved it to had excellent supply chains and access to their target markets. And once you start talking about supply chains and access to target markets, you are talking about how easy it is to trade between different countries. So on the year that Brexit created trade barriers between the UK and the rest of Europe, Ineos moved their factory to the other side of those trade barriers into France and Germany. And the reason they gave was that trade would be easier there. So anybody who is acting in good faith can see and read between the lines that means it was a Brexit decision. Jim Ratcliffe campaigned for Brexit, and then when he realized that Brexit would make his business impossible in the UK, he moved his business abroad, costing the UK hundreds of jobs. These are simply bad people.